like pretty things and I like making pretty things. Hi, I'm Tiffany Julia and I'm a messy artist. I really like soft, pretty things, and I think my art that I do in my art journals reflect that. I don't really art journal to make a point or make a statement or anything like that. I just journal what I want to journal, whatever I'm feeling. I think journaling just helps me cope with all of life's stresses, and that's really why I journal. I live in New York City, where I was born and raised, and art is all that I have ever known. Since I was a little kid, I was always in some form of art class, whether it was an actual fine arts class or tap dancing or vocal lessons or piano lessons or whatever type of art. I was always in them. I went to a special performing arts high school here in New York City where I majored in fine art. That was basically my first proper fine art classes. I didn't really want to be an artist, like a fine artist. I don't think I've ever thought of doing that, like ever. Like just, I guess, as a profession, or, you know, like something that I can label myself as an artist. So I've always been into art. That has always been in my life. After high school, kind of transitioned into writing. I wrote a lot of stories, I wrote a lot of songs. I just wrote a lot, and I went to school for writing. And of course, I don't do much writing anymore. I do write a lot of songs, so I do write a lot of music, but as far as writing go, I don't really write very much. So I got into art journaling in 2013. It was basically around the same time that I got into scrapbooking and just general paper crafting. In 2012, I graduated and I went off on a summer Euro trip with my best friend, and when I came back, my dad passed away. He had been struggling with cancer, so he was sick, but I didn't know the extent of it that summer because he would refuse to let my mom tell me. So when I came back, he was in the hospital and he passed away that morning, the morning after I came back, if that makes sense. So I got to see him for maybe about a couple of hours and then he was gone. That kind of just threw me off, like everything. I had an idea of where I wanted to go after school and like what I wanted to do with my life, and it's so amazing how one moment in your life can just alter the rest of it, like completely. So I remember the days after were just, it was too much change at the same time. I was trying to reacclimate myself to being back home in New York. I was just off, like the whole thing was off, and just kind of trying to get my bearings just being back home, but then also trying to get my bearings just being back home knowing that my dad was no longer here. It was just a lot on top of each other that I remember I couldn't sleep and I would stay up in the living room watching TV. So when I came back home from Europe, I brought home a folder full of ephemera. And then of course I had photographs. I had over 1,000 photographs that I took. I had all these photographs and I had all of these bits for my trip, and I didn't know what to do with them. Like, at this point, I was not a scrapbooker, I was not a memory keeper in any way. So I had all these photos and I had all these things, and I didn't want to throw them out. I wanted to do something with it. So of course I did a Google search of like what I can do, and I came across Smashbooks, where you can just smash things in and that is your life documented. So of course I went to Michael's the next day and I bought 2 Smashbooks, and every night when I couldn't sleep, I would turn on the TV and I would smash things into my book and do a little bit of journaling of my trip. And by the end of like a week, I had an entire Smashbook filled with my trip, with my journaling, and that kind of started it all. My favorite kind of journal documenting that I would do is these hand-bound journals. And they were fabric covers and they were kind of junk journals, really. And I would take them with me on my trips and I would document my trips on the go. And honestly, those are my favorite journals that I keep, are the ones that they're like part junk journal, part scrapbook, part travel journal. It's just a bunch of things put together. There was one time that I spent the summer in Italy that I made it like a TN style, but I kept most of the pages blank so that I can do art journaling in it. So it was kind of like a mixture of art journaling, the whole using ephemera junk journal style, and travel journaling, and that one in a TN, basically a traveler's notebook style. So it was kind of like a mixture of, it's a travel journal, but it was a mixture of junk journal, art journaling, because I actually used watercolors and did, you know, the splatters, the stuff that I like to do, the little collages, but with my photographs, so it was also like a scrapbook. So those are my favorite journals to keep, I think, is the travel journals that I make, and they're all handmade. The only one that wasn't handmade was my Smash book, but all the other ones were handmade journals that I made prior to going on the trip so that I can document my trip while I was traveling. And those are my favorite. I really, really like those journals a lot. So I first heard about Get Messy. Honestly, I think it was before I actually joined Get Messy. I remember stumbling across Kaylee Gray's website, and I remember like reading through her blog, and every Thursday she did a Get Messy thing. Lauren and Kaylee Get Messy, or was it Kaylee and Lauren? They Get Messy. It was every Thursdays, and I remember reading a blog post, and then I also followed Vanessa, and she also did the whole Thursday Get Messy thing. And so I was aware that it was a thing, I guess, but they didn't have a website, they didn't, you know, have anything. It was just something that they did. And then I believe it was in 2015, it was probably towards the end of 2015, where I kind of rediscovered Get Messy. I found the website, I read through it, and I really wanted to join. Thing was, I was gonna leave for like a 3-month trip through Southeast Asia with my friend, and so I was just like, oh man, should I sign up for it now and like start, or should I just wait until I come back and I'll think about it? And I don't know what it was, something told me to just sign up for it now, that it'll be there when you get back and you can just really dive right in to Get Messy once you're back. And so I did, I signed up, and I remember it was the ending of Season of Magic, the start of Season of Words. And so it was kind of like a weird transition period that I joined. And I remember once the Season of Words started, I made a book, an altered book, and I was participating in it, even though I knew that halfway through the season I was going to be on a plane to Indonesia and not have access to, you know, like the internet and things like that. I mean, I did have limited access to the internet, but, you know, my stuff or whatever. And so I kind of like started the season and then didn't finish it. And then when I came back, it was the season of Happy, I believe? Season of Happy. And of course I dived right into the season of Happy, and my official Get Messy journey continued on from there. But since joining Get Messy, I've participated on and off in the seasons, only because I travel a lot, and it's very hard to participate in these seasons when you're just traveling from one city to the next in whatever trip you're in. So yeah, I think my whole Get Messy experience though really came together like recently. Like I would say last year, I kind of put forth the effort to be more involved. Since signing up, I was always present, and then I would disappear. It was just how my life just kind of was transitioning at the time. I was traveling a lot, and I still do. I still travel a lot, but I try to at least have something to share on the Get Messy Art Journal tag on Instagram, and like, it took me a bit just to find my comfort zone within art journaling. And I've also kind of figured out where Get Messy can fit in my life. You know, that takes time. It takes a lot of trial and error to figure out exactly how something is going to work for you. Not all the times do I participate in the seasons. You know, some seasons speak to me more than others, just like the prompts speak to me more than others, and a lot of the times the prompts don't speak to me at all, but maybe the concept of the season speaks to me, and then I would just do a page or do a spread on that, whatever the concept, you know, brings to my mind. It doesn't really have to be a response to the prompts all the time. And so a lot of the times I would just create things and, you know, just tag it Get Messy, because I want to share my work, and Get Messy is a great community of beautiful artists who just love sharing, and they love, you know, encouraging you. That's like a big thing with Get Messy, is that everyone's so encouraging. Even when you don't think you're good enough, someone is always there to love it, to love whatever you did. That's one thing that I've noticed, is that you may not like something that you made at all. Like, you would think it's just so bad, and sometimes that puts us off from sharing it. But I remember I posted something that I did that I really didn't like, and it was my most liked like spread that I ever posted on Instagram, which is insane because I didn't like it, but everybody else did. So it's interesting that, you know, sometimes we don't believe in our own art, but there are other people out there who love it more than we do. And that is what Get Messy is. Now, whenever I comment on somebody's, you know, page or their spread, and especially if they write in the caption that, oh, this wasn't really my favorite, I'm not very good at this, and, you know, I find it beautiful, I always try to say that just because you don't find something beautiful or like worthy of, I guess, your appreciation, or, you know, something that you created that you just don't like, doesn't mean that it's not beautiful, that it's not great, because someone else will see it in that light. There's no right or wrong way to art journal or to create art. Like, there's no such thing as good art versus bad art. It's just art. I realize in order to kind of reap all the benefits of a certain community like Get Messy, you have to be a bit open with yourself and with other people, and, you know, take them all in. And that is what I really would love to do this year, especially with being on the Get Messy creative team this year, is just to kind of connect with people in that way, which I don't think I've ever done before. And what I hope to really share and, you know, get out of Get Messy this year, I just kind of want to foster that community, because I think Get Messy is all about the community. I think it's all community first, art second. So yeah, so that's just a little bit about me and how I got into art journaling and documenting, and my very brief Get Messy journey. I can't wait to interact and learn more about you. So I will see you around.